Well, hello and welcome to the Play Talking UK podcast. My name is Neville Bounds and this is episode 280. Welcome and welcome to tonight's co-host, Matt Smith.
Well, hello everyone. Hello. This is unusual, isn't it, Nev? It's been a while since it's just been you and me.
The skeleton staff. Not that we're saying that we've become very thin.
No, far from it, in fact.
But,
Yes, just you and me tonight, mate.
Just two of us tonight. Yep.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
How's your week been, Matt? What have you been up to?
Oh, really busy actually. We've been doing lots of. I've been doing lots of driving. Obviously, that is the occupational hazard, I know. So I've been shooting around, doing lots of driving. But what was it? Well, I had Cambridge one day, and then London, and then and then like Clacton one day this week, and all that kind of thing. I'm off to Cambridge again tomorrow. Oh, and Birmingham NEC on Friday. So yeah, they've been throwing me around most of the country, I think, the last few days. How about you?
Well, this has been the first week of my new job, so there is a lot to learn. My poor pea-sized brain was a bit sort of sent to mush, I think, on Monday and Tuesday of this week because there's just so much incoming information. But it's been brilliant, and I'm working with a fantastic bunch of people, so that's really good. So I'm really enjoying it, and we'll have to see how we get on. But I think it's a great company I'm working for now, and they're headquartered in Portland, Oregon.
Oh, I
on
see.
The northwest coast. So. But yeah, everybody's been really helpful and very friendly, so that's been massively helpful to me, I've got to say.
Yeah,
so, all good.
No better way of starting a new job than sort of finding a good team to sort of help you out. Really, is it? It's good. It's exciting times. Are you enjoying it?
Yeah. I am, yes, and I think I've known this company for a while, and they're a really nice bunch of folks and nice products. So it's sort of in the same sort of area, but this time I'm working for a manufacturer directly, which is really great. So,
wow, very exciting.
Yeah, looking forward to doing lots with them. So But what's Carlos up to tonight? Why isn't he here?
I believe because we couldn't do it last night because I ended up working because normally we record the show on a Friday, but we've had to do it on the Saturday because of my commitments, basically. Although he wasn't available Friday either, was he? He was basically not available this weekend. And this weekend, I think tonight, he's actually, I think he's at Dunstan Hall doing somebody got married. I think that's the long and the short of it.
Oh, yes.
One of those silly people got married. So, yes, he's out doing there. Armando is working. He's, I think, throwing people out of a perfectly functioning aeroplane, if my memory serves. So, he's having a good time there. It's all part of the fun, as they say. So we've got a few people in the chat room there, which is nice. We've got Captain Jeff's in the chat room, along with Lane Street. Dr. Steph is there, Richard Adams, Chris Griggs, to name but a few. So I guess we should get on with it. What do you reckon? Shall we do?
Let's do just that.
Indeed. He says, sorry, I'm not used to doing this. I'm pressing all the buttons. Here we go.
Well, starting off on the telegraph.co.uk website, and it's a BA story, inevitably. And it says that BA pilots would be amongst the highest paid workers ever to strike if they go through with plans to stage a crippling walkout in the heart of the summer holidays, insisting that a £20,000 per pay rise over 3 years is not enough. Proposed industrial action by pilots union BALPA could see more than 4,000 pilots strike at the heart of the summer holiday, paralysing the carrier and causing misery for tens of thousands of passengers per day. BA, whose captains earn an average of £167,000, has offered an above-inflation deal worth 11.5% over 3 years, but pilots are demanding a bigger cut of the company's profits. Talks at ACAS, the conciliation service, were ongoing on Thursday after the Court of Appeal rejected BA's application for an injunction. If agreement cannot be reached, strikes could begin on August the 17th, as the union is required to give 2 weeks' notice of any action. The deal was accepted by Unite and the GMB unions. 3 years ago, BA pilots accepted a pay deal that was around a third lower than the current offer on the table, the airline said. But BALPA is arguing that while its members made significant sacrifices when the company was struggling as a result of the financial crisis, they should share in the profits now it has recovered. The airline has reversed its fortunes from a £230 million operating loss in 2009 to pre-tax profits of £2 billion in 2018. On top of this, they receive, the BA captains, as I mentioned, are paid an average basic salary of £167,000. But on top of this, they receive an hourly flying allowance whenever they are on duty, worth up to £15,000 per year. They are also paid an additional £3.72 per hour whilst abroad to cover meals and other costs. Some BA captains are paid more than £200,000, whilst the average for all pilots is believed to be just under £90,000. Safety regulations restrict them to a maximum of 900 hours per year, or just over 17 hours per week. By contrast, Ryanair captains at Stansted are believed to earn an average of around £135,000. It emerged last week that among pilots' grievances is the fact that they will have to stay in less luxurious hotels during stopovers. A BA captain told The Times it used to be 5-star, it's now 4-star. Some, I would think, might even struggle to achieve that. They said that the lower star hotels were noisier and disrupted employees' sleep, making it harder for them to do their job the next day. But a BA source told The Telegraph, whenever people fly some distance, they often stay the night. There's nothing in contracts that says they have to stay in five-star hotels. Members of the GMB and Unite unions, which represent 90% of BA staff, have accepted the deal. The proposed action is expected to cost the airline around £40 million per day and will affect flights from all British airports, including Manchester, Stansted and Glasgow. Brian Strutton, BALPA General Secretary, has blamed the airline for the timing of the breakdown in talks. We have tried to resolve this matter through negotiations starting last November. It is BA who has regrettably chosen to drag this out into the summer months, he has said. Meanwhile, Ryanair has warned that up to 900 jobs could be at risk amid a drop in earnings as the airline faces higher fuel costs. Chief Executive Michael O'Leary said cuts were unavoidable, and security workers at Gatwick are also due to strike for 48 hours in a dispute over pay. Members of Unite, employed by ICTS, who scan passengers' luggage, will walk out at 6 a.m. on August the 10th. The union said that most of the 130 workers are paid less than £9 per hour. So, a lot going on there, Matthew. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I completely understand why, if they feel they've got a rough deal, if you like, I completely understand why they want to strike. The only thing that makes me a little bit nervous, I suppose, or a little bit unhappy perhaps, is it's presumably been chosen for this time of year because it will have most impact on the business model, won't it? But you do feel sorry for those people who are having their annual holiday and are probably going to have it ruined by the fact that that their flight is cancelled, or maybe not ruined, but shortened by a couple of days. Perhaps if you're only going for a week in the first place, I mean, it's a big deal to lose a couple of days. So I do feel really sorry for those that are having their annual holiday. But on the flip side of that, I completely understand why the pilots are wanting to strike.
Yeah, and I think this has been coming for a long while, this whole thing. And of course, but you could also say on the flip side that August being holiday season, although massively inconveniencing
Yeah,
the holiday makers, BA primarily, I would say, is a business airline, and therefore
true.
most people involved in the world of business will not be travelling during August. But you
No,
never know, do you?
no, that's true. I suppose
Yeah,
not.
interesting.
Yeah, interesting times, as you say. We'll move on to the next story then. This is on the Irish Times, and we're sort of going back in time with this one, actually. It says the headline is Flying Considerable Luxury, Ryanair's first ads in 1985. So it's the May the 4th. May the 4th be with you on the 1985 as millions of people sit in the blue and yellow plastic cabins of Ryanair planes this summer. It can be easy to forget the humble beginnings of an airline that has changed the landscape of travel for so many people. Back in 1985, on the 4th of May, the origins of Ryanair were detailed in the Irish Times under the headline Flight to Knock Stays in the Air. A new airline was launched yesterday with a flight from Dublin to Connacht Regional Airport at Knock, County Mayo. The article began, but much to the disappointment of the people on the ground, the 15-seater aircraft didn't make a landing. The plane in question was a twin-engine Brazilian-designed... what is it? Is it Bandeirati. Wow, I've not heard of one of those before. Which flew low along the runway a couple of times without touching the ground and then headed back for Dublin. A spokeswoman for Ryanair said at the time that the airport at Knock wasn't officially licensed and therefore there was no way the plane could land. Thankfully, Monsieur James Horan, the parish priest of Knock, was anticipating getting a licence in due course. He hoped that the first flights would be taking off from Knock that October, heading for Rome, of course. The new airline intends to operate mainly to Britain and the principal European centres. The then chairman of Ryanair, Dr. Ken Holden, was also on the flight and said that a number of private planes had closed down recently. A new alternative service was needed. Ryanair had at the time hired 6 pilots, 3 hostesses and 8 ground crew. The article ended with the news that the company was negotiating the purchase of a second aircraft. The airline's establishment had been announced in the newspaper just 2 days previously in a short news brief under a story about Aer Lingus. So it's almost hard to believe, isn't it, that it had such humble beginnings. Genteel. The following weekend, a small advertisement appeared in the newspaper in the personal ads section. Point to point in comfort for less. The ad reads, Ryanair can fly you and 14 others from just about anywhere in Ireland to just about anywhere in the UK or Europe. You're flying considerable luxury at whatever time suits you, to a point that would frequently be far closer to your actual destination than any scheduled flight could land you. Of course, nowadays you could argue Ryanair have gone completely flip side the other way, and now if you want to end up in Rome, you're nowhere near it. A race meeting, an exhibition, a business appointment, a day out with a difference, whatever. Tell us how many you'll be and where you wish to fly. We'll quote, and we guarantee you'll be pleasantly surprised. The most genteel ad is a far cry from the brash advertising campaigns Ryanair would come to be known for. So a month later, in June 1985, the airline had upped its advertising game with the characteristic tongue-in-cheek segment already emerging in those early days. How to enjoy a thoroughly unfair business advantage. The ad declared, fly Ryanair instead and get there first. Now, I have to confess, the story goes on, but I won't, essentially. I have to confess, I didn't realise it. Ryanair started, if you like, almost as a private charter rather than, very much like the NetJets of the world.
Yes, very much so. And it's interesting, isn't it, how from very humble beginnings it is
essentially one of the
become
biggest...
what it is today.
Yeah, absolutely massive. It's one of the biggest, certainly one of the biggest European airlines out there, isn't it? It's
absolutely. But
yeah, I wonder if they wondered if that's how it was going to end up. So just
as usual, these business models, no one really knows, do they?
No.
From when the whole thing starts. But
True.
yeah, interesting.
True.
Moving on to CNN Travel, it talks about pilots and the consumption of alcohol. And it says that the arrest of an airline pilot on suspicion of being under the influence of alcohol has travellers wondering about alcohol policies for commercial pilots and the screening in place to detect behaviour that could endanger passengers. A Delta Airlines pilot was taken off a fully boarded plane on Tuesday morning at the Minneapolis St. Paul International Airport after suspicious behaviour in a TSA screening line for crew members prompted further investigation by airport police. It says that the United States FAA regulations for commercial pilots are clear. The FAA's drug and alcohol regulations specifically prohibit pilots from performing flight crew member duties for an airline with prohibited drugs in their systems. They also restrict pilots from flying or attempting to fly an aircraft within 8 hours of consuming alcohol if they have an alcohol concentration of 0.04% or greater, according to FAA rules. Pilots may not use alcohol while on duty or within 8 hours of performing flight crew member duties. The regulations also require that crew members submit to blood alcohol tests when requested by law enforcement officials authorized to ask for those tests. Tests include random drug and alcohol testing for a reasonable suspicion of alcohol and or cause, post-accident drug and alcohol testing, return to duty drug or alcohol testing following successful rehabilitation, and follow-up drug and or alcohol testing. Transportation Security Administration does not screen crew members for drugs or alcohol. However, if a TSA officer suspects that an aircraft crew member is under the influence of drugs or alcohol, they're instructed to notify a supervisor who would notify local law enforcement, according to the TSA. Airlines also have policies that may expand upon the FAA rules. In a Delta Airlines statement responding to the pilot incident in Minneapolis, the carrier said that Delta's alcohol policy is amongst the strictest in the industry and we have no tolerance for violation. Delta is cooperating with local authorities in their investigation. The airline did not immediately respond to requests for additional details about its alcohol policy, but internationally, rules around alcohol for flight crew members vary by country, with guidance from the International Civil Aviation Organization. Another incident, but actually, I say another one, but they are really far and few between. I'm hearing lots and lots of this sort of thing going on. So, but that's. But everybody knows, don't they? So.
Yeah, it's the same thing, isn't it? I suppose it's, but you could say that about any industry. In my industry, for example, I mean, you are essentially, I mean, there are some coaches, for example, where you have to blow into a tube, and if your alcohol level isn't the right, they won't even let you, start the engine. With that, I guess you just sort of assume that they'd be more professional about it, wouldn't you? Really, and you shouldn't even enter into their head that.
I think it's these things do happen, but as I say, they're fairly
very rare events
from what I can.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, on to the next story. This is on Flight Global, which we like because it's a fabulous font. And the headline is basically Airbus has determined that the A320neo is potentially vulnerable to an angle of attack protection weakness, which could result in excessive pitch altitude under certain circumstances. Now, obviously, we touched on this story last week. I know you weren't here, Nev, but the condition is different from the excessive pitch anomaly recently recently discovered during analysis of the larger A321neo, says the European Union Aviation Safety Agency, although it appears outwardly similar. So the EASA stresses that the condition has never been encountered during A320 Neo operations. Neo, sorry, not Nero. But it says that a reduced efficiency of the aircraft's angle of attack protection under certain flight conditions and in combination with specific commanded manoeuvres from the crew could lead to excessive pitch and a higher workload. The scenario has been uncovered during analysis and laboratory testing of the A320neo flight control laws. Airbus has developed temporary revisions to the A320neo flight manual to address the condition, and EASA has ordered operators to amend their manuals accordingly. The changes limit the centre of gravity envelope for the aircraft. Airbus has also issued loading recommendations. Both the CFM International LEAP 1A and Pratt & Whitney PW1100G versions of the aircraft have been affected. EASA has opted for quick implementation of an airworthiness directive requiring the changes within 30 days of the 14th of August, postponing the commentary period until after publication. It measures the let me try that again. Its measures, sorry about that, follow the discovery of a behavioural issue with the elevator and aileron computer on the larger A321neo, which also affected angle of attack protection under particular conditions. The EASA has previously issued a similar preventative instruction involving flight manual changes and balance limitations, and has identified the specific computer units that have been affected. Airbus is working to develop a flight control law amendment for the A321neo, which will become available next year.
A bit like doing a firmware update on your router, isn't it, really?
Yes, risky at best.
A slightly more safety critical thing, though.
But
with obviously these fly-by-wire aircraft being heavily reliant on computer technology and the software and firmware that goes in it, there are always revisions and there's always stuff going on. And I don't think Airbus is any different to anybody else in that respect.
No, unfortunately not. Yeah. So, yes, if I could trouble you to move on to story number 8, please, Nev.
Indeed, yes. Well, this is on the USA Today website, and it says that EasyJet left passengers stranded on an English Channel island for 3 days.
Oh.
And it said that EasyJet apologised to more than 130 passengers after they were left stranded on a British island in the English Channel for 3 days. An EasyJet flight was supposed to leave Jersey, a British possession located off the French coastline, on July the 30th, but a technical issue snarled the flight's departure. The airline said it was unable to fix a problem with their original plane and speedily located a replacement. We are very sorry that flight EZY 6474 from Jersey to Newcastle on 30th of July was delayed overnight, EasyJet spokesman Holly Mitchell told USA Today in a statement. This was due to a technical issue with the aircraft which required an engineering inspection. She added engineers attended the aircraft, but unfortunately this could not be resolved, which caused a further delay. The flight was due to operate this morning, but the issue was unable to be resolved, so a replacement aircraft will operate the flight from Jersey later today. Passengers and their family members have expressed frustration with the airline on social media. So my parents were scheduled to fly home from Jersey on Tuesday, and they're still stuck in the airport with all the other passengers waiting for the plane to be fixed. Twitter user @absolutely_Andy wrote early Thursday morning Eastern Standard Time. Making them get on a plane that is taking 2+ days to be fixed is torture. Surely you can do better. Been stuck in Jersey Airport for 48 hours. EasyJet passenger Rosie Ryan wrote several hours later. We were due to depart on Tuesday afternoon, and now it's Thursday afternoon. I know all the staff in duty free, by their first names and also know their blood type.
Oh.
I'm very over it. What an extraordinary statement.
It's
Ryan shared a photo with USA Today on Thursday before boarding a flight. USA Today has reached out to Ryan for further details about the experience. We understand the frustration this will have caused to our customers, and we continue to do everything possible to minimize the impact of the delay, Mitchell added in the EasyJet statement. We provided for hotel accommodation and meals, as well as an option of transferring to an alternative flight free of charge. She noted that customers are also entitled to compensation in line with EU 261, referring to the European Union legislation governing compensation for passengers who are subjected to flight cancellations, long delays, or denied boarding. Well, it's one of those things. Sorry to sounds a bit glib about it, but yeah, it's terribly unfortunate, but these things happen. And they were in hotels, so
what's all the fuss about, really? I mean, the thing is yes, I appreciate it will have been very frustrating that the airplane basically went tech, but these things do happen, don't they? I mean, it can't be surely they've done 100% completely the right thing by an engineer's come out and he said no, we can't do anything about it now. I mean, I suppose this is the only potential problem, perhaps, when you have got someone like Ryanair or EasyJet, where their schedules are so tight. It is going to be very difficult to sort it. To sort of you can't just get another aircraft there, can you? Because obviously, what they do have will be heavily committed already.
Yeah, exactly, and the amount of, or especially this time of year as well, the tight schedules that they've got, the quick turnarounds. There's no room for slack at all. So and these things happen, and they are terribly inconvenient. But better to be tech on the ground, I say, than 35,000 feet in the air.
Yeah, absolutely, agreed. Yeah, I don't know, be good fun. As I say, I mean, it's not like they were made to kip on the airport's floor, is it? Either. I mean, they'd sort of been
no, they were all hotels. Yeah.
And actually,
which I do think it's not easy in Jersey.
It's
in
small.
Middle of the summer. It's a small island, and there are limited hotel facilities, especially this time of year, right in the middle of the summer.
Definitely, yeah. Anyway, on to the next story. This is a slightly disturbing story. I'm not going to lie. This is on the Fox News network, and the headline is: Rocket launcher discovered at BWI Airport. Second one found this week. So military equipment was seized at Baltimore Washington International Airport on Thursday. The second such seizure in days after it was brought back on a military flight by a US Air Force sergeant who kept it as a keepsake. The rocket launch tube was discovered around 5:20 a.m. in the American Airlines baggage area of the airport located in Maryland, the office of the state's Fire Marshal's bomb squad has announced. Before being flown to the US, the inert equipment was inspected by US military officials for safety and was empty of any explosive hazard, according to a press release from the office. It was returned to the country by a sergeant as a souvenir of their time abroad. Authorities said that the tube presents no immediate threat to anyone on the ground, but noted there is a slight chance that it could contain pressurized gas and was therefore not allowed on the sergeant's connecting commercial flight. The rocket launch tube was taken in by the bomb squad until it can be safely returned to the owner. The Transportation Secretary Administration, the TSA, reminded passengers earlier this week not to bring explosives or devices that shoot explosives onto airplanes, even if they're just replicas, after finding a fake grenade and a real missile launcher at two different airports. Earlier this week at BWI in Maryland, TSA agents found a missile launcher in someone's checked luggage. That passenger said he was active military personnel travelling home from Kuwait and also wanted to keep the missile launcher as a souvenir. The TSA also discovered a grenade at Newark Liberty International Airport in New Jersey in someone's checked luggage. Explosive experts eventually determined that it was actually a highly realistic replica of a grenade. Military weapons are not permitted in checked or carry-on bags, said the transportation agency, which did not immediately return Fox News requests for comment regarding Thursday's equipment seizure. Now, this is a bit of a tricky one, really, isn't it? There's a couple of pictures here, actually, which I will just pop up, if I may. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Mr. Military Man should have known better, shouldn't he, really?
Yeah, you see, missile launchers, either real or replica, you shouldn't really be doing that on an aircraft.
No, I mean, it's different, obviously, because the first leg of his journey obviously sounded like it was using military transport. So, I mean, obviously, they will know exactly what it is. But, I mean, you can't blame the is it TSA? TWA? Sorry. Yeah, you can't blame them for literally thinking, no. No.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
No, not good. Is it? A bit of a fail there, I think, on the part of them. But,
yeah,
you know,
tricky. Well, it is what it
they
is,
live
I
and
guess.
learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is. I mean, in some respects, again, I find it quite comforting because it could have potentially not been deactivated, and yet it was picked up by airport security. So perhaps we should be sort of comforted, perhaps, by the fact that it went through the X-ray scanner and was found.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. So that's something, and that's what they're there to do, isn't it? So
it is.
Yeah. All's well that ends well. Finally. So. Well, the next story is on the SF Gate, which is from San Francisco, sfgate.com. And it says that another major airline retires the Airbus A380. No. Incredibly, this week, Air France announced that it will retire its fleet of Airbus A380 double-deckers by 2022 instead of making a significant investment to update them. The carrier says it will now focus its long-haul fleet growth on the Boeing 787 Dreamliner and the Airbus A350. In a statement, the airline said the current competitive environment limits the market in which the A380 can profitably operate. With 4 engines, the A380 consumes 20 to 25% more fuel per seat than the new generation long-haul aircraft, and therefore emits more CO2. Increasing aircraft maintenance costs, as well as necessary cabin refurbishments to meet customer expectations, reduce the economic attractiveness of Air France's A380s even further. Keeping this aircraft in the fleet would involve significant costs, whilst the aircraft program was suspended by Airbus earlier this year. So, I think there's going to be more of this going on because, yes, 2 engines are more efficient than 4, especially with these new generation aircraft.
Well, and of course, fuel prices in general, aren't they? Not just for aviation, but I mean, worldwide, fuel prices are going through the roof, aren't they? So if you can essentially do the same job with smaller engines, then you're going to, aren't you?
Also, I think quite a long time ago that there was concern about reliability of just having a 2-engine aircraft going long distances. That largely has been not a problem.
Yeah,
because they know how to operate. There's special thing called ETOPS, which means that there are special builds of aircraft and crew and routes which are designed for these aircraft. So actually, it's not much of a problem now, and I think this is where 4-engine aircraft are really losing out. And of course, there's only 2 4-engine aircraft around, or 3 actually, which is the A340, the 747, and the A380. Yeah?
Do you think perhaps, so this is a slightly hypothetical question, but I do wonder perhaps if the A380 had come around, was sort of released around about the time that the 74 was released, perhaps if it had been created, years ago, rather than in these slightly more challenging times, should we say. I mean, I think we'd be talking very fondly about the A380 as a lot of people do now talk about the 74. I mean, it's a beautiful aircraft. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think it's just one of those things which has come at the wrong time. It's been the perfect storm, really, for fuel prices being quite high again, and they it's all about operating the aircraft profitably on a per seat basis. There's no 2 ways about it.
Yeah, and of course, realistically, we aren't going to see fuel prices drop, are we? I don't think. I think they're
no, and you've got to remember that it's the accountants running the show
Yeah.
these days,
Yeah.
and they like to see low operating costs.
Yes, it's all about profits and shareholders, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yep.
On to the next story. This is on the Cambridgeshire Live website, and this is, I suppose, for anyone who's flown out of there, won't be a massive surprise. Stansted ranked the second worst airport in the world for delays. Stansted Airport has been ranked the second worst airport in the world for delays. A new global study of 106 airports has revealed which have the worst record for flight delays, and it seems our nearest and dearest Stansted did not come off too lightly. According to the study, European airports were some of the worst in the world, with 6 of the bottom 10 for catching an on-time flight, European flight. The UK itself scored dismally, with Manchester Airport ranking in 96th place, Gatwick Airport on 93rd place, and Heathrow at 65th. That's not bad, actually, when you consider how many flights are going out of Heathrow every single day. Overall, London Stansted was ranked the second worst airport in the world for delays, just behind is it Soekarno Hatta International Airport in Indonesia, apparently. Yes, so Stansted seems to have a rather worrying background when it comes to flight delays. In 2018, an investigation revealed that it was the worst airport in the world for exactly that. The airport blamed this on adverse weather conditions and air traffic control issues. Now the airport has placed itself second globally for the highest number of delays in Stasha's most recent study. The airport does seem to be taking its negative reputation seriously, though, and reports reveal it has received a multi-million-pound investment from Ryanair, of all people, to help deliver significant service improvements to flight punctuality. Popular luxury honeymoon destinations like Indonesia, the Philippines and Vietnam are also likely to experience flight delays. Brussels and Lisbon were also in the bottom 5. Commenting on the findings, Stasha's co-founder and CCO Anthony Coleus said that there is nothing more frustrating than arriving at an airport in good time to find out that your flight has been delayed. Our latest study has produced some fascinating and unexpected results. It's great to see so many airports with a low flight delay rating, and those who are underperforming, investing money and expanding infrastructure to improve passenger experiences. To accompany the study, Stasha has created an interactive map where you can explore the world's best and worst airports in more detail, ranked by a number of factors including flight delays, quality of food outlets, distance to city centre, cost of parking and number of lounges. So the only thing it doesn't list here, I was hoping to sort of see the list in more detail, because it says it's the second worst airport. I was intrigued to know what was in the top 10.
Yes, odd. You think they might have mentioned that, mightn't you?
Yes, but there we are. Never mind. I suppose as far as Cambridgeshire Live is concerned, the only one they care about is the one at Stansted. So there we are. Never mind. But yeah, 65th for Heathrow. Given the fact that there's so many flights going in and out of there, I don't think that's bad at all.
No, indeed, absolutely, yeah. So, I'm sorry if I lost you there. I had to restart my computer.
Oh, did you?
To a bit of a technical moment.
Blissfully unaware, I carried on regardless.
Good.
Nobody would have ever known if you hadn't said anything. Okay, so I think we've got one more story left, haven't we?
We have, yes. This is on the prnewswire.com, and it says that Make-A-Wish kicks off Trips That Transform, a month-long celebration of the approximately 12,000 wishes for children battling critical illness in the US and its territories each year that involve travel and the donors that make them possible. Life-changing wishes like 6-year-old Maxim's wish to go to Hawaii, which led to an unforgettable week spent relaxing on the beach, searching the shore for shark teeth, and most importantly, quality time for his family to simply focus on each other. Maxim's wish was a chance to pause life's responsibilities and focus on fun and family, Maxim's parents said. Being granted time away like this brought tears to our eyes. With 75% of wishes requiring air travel, Make-A-Wish needs almost 3 billion airline miles and points to fulfill travel wishes for children battling critical illnesses each year. Right now, we're only able to grant wishes for 1 out of every 2 eligible children, said Richard Davis, President and CEO of Make-A-Wish America. Travel wishes are waiting, and their fulfillment is dependent on the ongoing generosity of individual and corporate donors who contribute their unused airline miles, expiring travel points, and dollars. Once donated to Make-A-Wish, airline miles and points never expire, and each goes on to help Wish kids and their families take flight to destinations around the world. Travellers can donate on air miles and points from American Airlines, United, Delta, Southwest, and JetBlue. Throughout August, Make-A-Wish will also celebrate the generous national travel sponsors who make impactful wishes possible. Sponsors like Allegiant Air, Airbnb, Avis, and many others whose contributions of mission-critical resources allow Wish kids and their families the much-needed escape from the reality of battling a critical illness. Travel wishes are more than a trip. They're often a more important component of a Wish kids treatment plan, continued Davis. We are extremely grateful for all of our national travel partners, which each play a vital role in giving children a world of hope when they need it, most through transformational Wish trips. To learn more about how Wish Trip can impact the lives of everyone involved and enable future wishes, follow Make-A-Wish and Trips That Transform on Instagram, and you can donate airline miles and points at wish.org/travel. Well, that's pretty good, isn't it?
That's
a
really
nice,
cool. I didn't realize.
Nice story.
Yeah, I didn't realise you could actually donate your air miles if you like.
Yeah.
So you could sort of almost donate it without directly costing you something, which is yes, quite nice. I mean, not me personally, but I know one of my friends was very, very poorly, and he got like one of the coolest experiences you could possibly ask for off the back of the Make-A-Wish Foundation, or the UK version, obviously here, because he had leukemia when he was younger. And it was at the time that they were filming the third part of the Matrix series, and his Make-A-Wish opportunity, if you like, was to be one of the extras in the big scene in Zion when just before all the where Morpheus gives his big speech, and it was amazing in lots of ways, because he had this incredible experience that he was sort of basically not allowed to tell any of us about until the film came out.
Yeah.
But it's an absolute brilliant charity, and I mean, as I say again, I suppose for the family, it also gives, like with this, when you say like going to Hawaii, and you just think, well, why does he need time to sort of sit on a beach and look for stones? But of course, look for shark's teeth. But of course, it's not really for him, is it? It's more for the family to get as much quality time with them, you know, while either recuperation or you know, make the most of the time that they've got. I mean, it's a brilliant charity. Yeah,
couldn't agree more. Absolutely. But,
yeah.
So that's where we wrap up the commercial aviation section.
Indeed.
Of the show.
Indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll try that again. We'll be right back after these short messages.
Find this and other great shows at the Aviation Media Network.
thevoicesinyourhead.com. The Plain Talking UK podcast is a voluntary project that aims to keep you informed with the latest aviation-related stories from newswires across the globe.
Producing our content does cost money though. If you enjoy our show, why not help us keep on the air by making a donation towards the server and website hosting fees through PayPal. Any contributions would be greatly appreciated.
Are you an Amazon user? If so, why not do your shopping through the link on our website? There's no cost to yourself, and Amazon pay us a small referral fee on qualifying purchases.
To find out more about the show and to meet the team, take yourself to our website www.plaintalkinguk.com,
or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/plaintalkinguk, on Twitter via @plaintalkinguk, or get in touch via email on podcast@plaintalkinguk.com. Thanks for listening.
YB5823, Trent Dane for 23R Manchester, Wizz Air 6X, climb flight level 210, direct to Bretlands Park. United 123, maintain 280 knots. London 2DME, turn right onto Bravo, link, 21 join Alpha, hold at Mora, Speedbird 472, LOC/DME, approach runway 27 left, follow the green stand 544.
That's enough air traffic control for today, Nat. Bedtime.
So we came up with the idea of having a video course.
Obviously ours are better because we've got the experience on the aircraft and we know what we need to be looking at.
Something that myself and Andy started initially really to improve our own technical knowledge and put something out there. We saw that there was a gap and this wasn't a media that was being used for this purpose, and our hunch was right because there's obviously a market for it.
Have you ever wondered what it would be like to fly a commercial passenger jet? Looked up at the sky and thought, I wish that was me? Well, now anyone has the chance to have a go at flying in a real aircraft simulator. NP Simulations and Flight Experience London, the only official Boeing licensed product of its kind in the UK, offer you the chance to fly anywhere in the world in their fixed base Boeing 737-800 flight simulator. And that's not all. Ground School London offers many different courses for the up-and-coming pilot looking for a start in aviation. With prices starting at just £109, the sky's the limit. So for the ultimate flight simulator experience, or engaging preparatory courses, including those for schools and colleges, check out the websites at www.london.flightexperience.co.uk and www.groundschoollondon.com, or call on 020 300 40 616. NP Simulations. Fly your dreams.
And
well, there we are.
We are back, yes.
Welcome back.
Indeed. So, what do you reckon? Should we bash on with some military stuff?
Let's do that, yes. Well, this is from the combataircraft.com website, and it says that the VFA-14 Top Hatters, which is the US Navy's oldest and boldest air squadron, marks its centenary in September. Informally nicknamed the Lids in US Naval Aviation Circle, this squadron was traced in Combat Aircraft's September issue, which is out this week. The unit's unbroken service dates back to September the 1st, 1919 in San Diego, which became North Island in 1955. Although first led by Commander James H. Toome, Commander Henry C. Mustin took charge on October the 22nd. Mustin was an early naval aviator who had conducted the world's first catapult launch from a ship in 1915, and today is held by the squadron as being Top Hatter 1, the initial commanding officer of the unit. Today, the squadron flies the single-seat FA-18E Super Hornet. The Top Hatters initially received Block 1 production standard FA-18Es, the first example being number 165870 that was taken on charge on March the 22nd, 2002. By the time VFA-14 deployed on March the 3rd, 2003, the initial war plans for Operation Iraqi Freedom were already held in secure storage aboard USS Nimitz. When the carrier was still a week away from entering the North Arabian Gulf, VFA-14 forward deployed 2 jets alongside a pair from VFA-41, some 2,700 miles via Diego Garcia to arrive in USS Abraham Lincoln on March the 31st. The carrier was already 2 weeks into OIF missions. The 4 Super Hornets, all flying in 5 wet configurations, each carrying 4 480-gallon external tanks, and centrally mounted buddy airborne refueling stores brought a much-needed additional organic refueling capability to Lincoln's CVW-14, which was relying on 4 VFA-115, FA-18Es, and S3B Vikings up until this point. After 4 days of operation from Lincoln, the jets returned to Nimitz. VFA-14 continued at the forefront of the opening phase of OIF until the carrier came about in the Arabian Gulf on September the 3rd. Top Hatters have flown 23 different aircraft types, plus 7 sub-variants and operations from 32 aircraft carriers. Since the end of World War II, the squadron has undertaken 41 major deployments, justifying the squadron motto, the oldest and boldest. And you can read the full story in the September issue of Combat Aircraft, which is on sale now.
Very sneaky. I like how they squeezed that in there.
Yeah,
indeed. There's is it the Hornets? Is that what they use? Is that what the Red Arrows use? What do they use?
No, they use Hawks.
Oh, Hawks. My apologies. Sorry, I should be in trouble for that. I should be in trouble. Anyway, on to the next story. This is on Nev's favourite website because he likes the font. It's flightglobal.com, and the headline or the story leads basically with the UK Royal Air Force, the RAF, is on track to restore its lapsed maritime patrol aircraft capability within the next 9 months, according to Air Commodore Rich Barrow, senior responsible owner for the service's Boeing P-8 and E-7 acquisitions. So speaking at the Royal International Air Tattoo on the 19th of July, 1 week after the RAF's first P-8A Poseidon airframe had made its flight debut, Barrow said that from the 1st of April next year, we're going to have UK maritime patrol capability operating from UK soil for the first time in a number of years. The UK's first two P-8A Poseidon MRA-1 crews have already completed training at the US Navy's NAS Jacksonville site in Florida, while other members of its personnel have retained maritime patrol experience via Project Seedcorn placements with the USN and other nations over the past decade. The UK's first aircraft is now having its mission system equipment installed at Boeing in Washington, having been transferred from the manufacturer's nearby Renton final assembly facility. After supporting initial training at Jacksonville from later this year, the asset will be flown to RAF Kinloss early in 2020, ahead of being moved to its home base at RAF Lossiemouth following the completion of a runway resurfacing enterprise. So when we get when we get those aircraft, we are going to be using them as soon as we possibly can, Barrow said. Missions will include providing protection for the Royal Navy's continuous at-sea deterrent force of Vanguard-class nuclear attack submarines. The RAF has lacked a dedicated maritime patrol aircraft capability since 2010, when the last of its BAE system Nimrod MR2s were retired. Meanwhile, the service is also making early preparations for its future use of the E-7 Wedgetail airborne early warning and control system aircraft from RAF Waddington in Lincolnshire. Its 8 squadron will transition onto the 737 based type from the Boeing E-3D Sentry, with initial operational capability planned for the second half of 2023. Describing the 5 aircraft deal confirmed earlier this year as a really pacey program, Barrow notes, "We couldn't hang around. It's not a capability gap that we can afford to take." Barrow said the UK's plan is to stay in lockstep with lead Wedgetail operator the Royal Australian Air Force with regard to future updates to the E-7 system. It's a lot smarter if we work together with them and effectively co-fund stuff going forward, he says. The capabilities that we will be able to build on with that platform going forward, and the capabilities that its Northrop Grumman MESA active electronically scanned array radar has inherently in it, are absolutely huge, Barrow says. So yes, it's got to be good news if they are going to plug a gap essentially that we've had in our military armament, I suppose, since 2010 at least.
Here's a thought. Aren't the military stories the most difficult to read?
They are a
ever?
challenge. Yeah. I know. Armando makes them look so easy, doesn't he? It's just like, but then I suppose his background means it actually means something to him. He actually understands it. So yes, come back, Armando. All is forgiven. But yes, it's good. I do you know what I like this idea of, like, because obviously with our Australian equivalent, if you like, the Royal Australian Air Force, I like the fact that we're working closely with them developing. Infrastructure. I think that's a really sensible idea. Sharing resources.
Yeah, totally, absolutely. Well, it's going to be a bit of a short show tonight because, there's just the two of us.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear rambling.
No,
But
indeed.
there's some important stuff to talk about as well. So we are going to be at the Biggin Hill Festival of Flight air show on Saturday, the 17th of August. I don't know whether Matt's going to be there, but
Fingers
I know
crossed, we'll see.
Yeah, okay. Well, definitely Carlos and I are going to be there. We're just waiting for the media accreditation thingy to come through.
Yes.
So that should be good. We're looking forward to that. I think a number of PT UK listeners are hoping to join us.
Absolutely. And of course, if you are able to join us, why not ping us an email to sort of let us know that you're coming, and then obviously we can look out for you at the Biggin Hill Festival of Flight on Saturday the 17th of August. That's going to be good fun, isn't it? I'm really looking forward to it. Haven't been to an air show this year, and I feel like I feel like I've missed out so far.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point, isn't it? I was just thinking about what we've done this year. We've done lots of stuff, but we haven't been to an air show.
Yeah, we haven't actually been to an air show yet, which is sort of a little bit. It's normally our staple go-to, isn't it? But I suppose it's just one of those things. Before we wrap up the show, we were sent a video by Andrew Hall, which I think he found on Facebook actually. But this is a little bit of a one for Jen Niffer, I think, because it's Now, what do you reckon about this video, Nev? Do you think this will buff out?
Oh, well, let's shall we?
I mean, ouch. Yeah. I think that's going to need a little bit more than T-cut on that one, isn't it? That's got a nasty. I don't know how on earth you would accidentally do that. Let me just do that one again. Look at the state of that. It's horrendous, isn't it? So for those of you listening to the audio version, basically a set of air stairs have been shoved into the rear end of the aircraft. I don't know what you would call.
That's exactly where the auxiliary power unit is. The little engine that powers.
Right.
So the owners of that aircraft, Deutsche Lufthansa, will be extremely cross about that.
I dare say they will.
There's a lot of damage going on there, isn't there?
I'm not quite sure how you would get it that wrong. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what was going on in somebody else's mind there for something like that to happen. Anyway, that is, I'm sorry to say, where we bring episode number 280 to a close. I'm sure normal service will be resumed again next week. Well, and hopefully there'll be more of us, so we can we'll have some more experts on board. What do you reckon, Nev?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that because yes, all very well talking to us or listening to us, but
yes,
nice to have some people that really do this.
Really do know what they're talking about. So the good news is the show this week won't take up very much space on your phone if you're listening to the audio version. Why not get in touch with the show though? You can send us an email on podcast@planetalkinguk.com. If you'd like to interact with us on social media, just search your chosen social media channel for Plane Talking UK. I'm sure you'll find us from there, and the website www.planetalkinguk.com. That's it. That's where we bring the show to a close. Say goodbye, Nev.
Yeah, take care. Have a nice time. See you next week.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.